so the fact that you did to kind of support my whole endeavor in going into health information and literacy, and really essentially helping people that don't really get to get that knowledge that high stakes. Recognizing what causes you stress and then how you handle it, because there's a quote that life is 90% about, or 10% of what happens to us, 90% of how we react to it. Nothing can stress you out unless you let it stress you out. So the fact that you did to kind of support my whole endeavor in going into health information and literacy, and really essentially helping people that don't really get to get that knowledge that I myself have, and I think is very beneficial for everyone to have. So my goal is to spread that knowledge without having to have people pay $1,000 to talk to some professionals. And so that's what I went to school for. That's what I'm in school for grad school, public health, again for health literacy, and spreading some very much needed knowledge throughout the community, specifically with African American minority individuals, because I feel like we're at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to the actual health knowledge that we need. And it's kind of like goes back to the tradition, what we've been taught and what we continue to perpetuate. So this event today is really geared towards stress management and healthy habits such as like fitness, proper stress coping mechanisms, and then other techniques like yoga, meditation, things that I feel like, again, the African American community, minorities don't really get too much into. So like, quick question, how many people have tried yoga before here? Okay, who likes yoga? Why do you like yoga?
Because it stretches out my body because I'm sick.
Okay, and what else? Why else? That's it?
Beneficial technically.
Why do you like yoga?
I don't know.
Does it make you feel good?
Yeah.
Does it bring you peace?
Makes me feel nice.
So, Petra, you raised your hand. When have you tried yoga, and why did you like it?
I tried it once when I first got to college. I think I was using it to like de-stress.
Okay.
That is very nice.
Okay, great. Heather, you said you did yoga too?
Yeah, but I didn't really care for it.
And why did you not care for it?
I don't know. I guess I couldn't just get my mind to just kind of become clear. And I didn't like how it was like all the stretches and stuff. Like, can't really breathe.
Right, so you were doing more like an active yoga, and versus you want to do more yoga that was more mind clearing and clear, like, so like that meditation aspect of yoga, not the active aspect. So that was on a discussion too. So that stress management and like yoga practices, a lot of people think that yoga, oh, I'm gonna be doing Pilates or stretching and put my body in a pretzel, when it's more than that. When yoga, that's incorporated with the, the physical aspect. But yoga started from like the Southeast Asia area with like the Buddhism and their religious, quote unquote, because Buddhism is not a religion, practices, and what they use yoga for. And it was more of that deep breathing meditation practice. And again, the stretching obviously helps with different aspects, such as like working out. You can have active yoga where you're like really sweating, burning calories. We have a couple of locations here for a hot yoga, if y'all have ever heard of that. It's more of like y'all gonna be doing all the crazy poses and everything. And there's other aspects of yoga where it's more of you sit in a circle, or you sit in a classroom and everyone's sitting in that kind of like Indian cross pose and just sitting there like hitting like the stuff like that. So there's different aspects and different levels of yoga. So it's definitely a spectrum thing, but yoga is definitely one of the coping mechanisms for stress. So I'm gonna start off. What do you think stress is? What is stress to you? Life, being an adult, right? So what type of, you don't have to get too personal, but what type of stress related things, are y'all encounter with every day? Financial stress, work related, kids, okay, organization, school for the ones in there getting their knowledge on. So here, obviously, stress can be defined as mental, physical, emotional, and behavioral reactions to any perceived demands or threats. And when they say threat, they don't mean obviously like your life's in danger, but say that you have a deadline and you're like, okay, I'm gonna put it off for a week, and then you're at 2 days before your deadline. So it's a threat because you haven't maybe done anything, you're not prepared. Kind of like what Petra said in that organization, like, okay, now my mind's completely out of sorts because I don't really know the right way to go. So that definitely can lead to a lot of stress. So with a lot of stressful situations we find ourselves, and a lot of people, even myself included, I work better under stress. I work better under pressure. I procrastinate because I know that I'm gonna get it done in that day versus if I worked on it through, the week or 2 weeks beforehand. Although that may be true, it's not necessarily always healthy to use that flight or fight response to, go through everyday life and, complete everyday tasks. So this slide goes into what the fight or flight response is. It's really with your sympathetic nervous system. Your brain is telling your body like, okay, look, you gotta think fast, quick, in a hurry. Again, there's some type of demand or threat that's causing you to need to act fast and use that kind of like higher power. Because if you think about the fight or fight, people have done amazing things when they're like under the the hammer. Like people have witnessed like miraculous things. People like moving stuff like that they couldn't move before, like doing stuff that they said I would never could have done that. Normally it's because I was under all this. Your body is like almost superhuman in that aspect. So. Again, it's good in some situations, not all situations. You don't need your body constantly thinking that everything's a demand or a threat. So then, what makes something stressful? Again, situations that have strong demands, such as finance, that being a big part, especially once you hit 18 and over, you're out on your own. Finance becomes 80% of your everyday stress. How you're gonna pay for this? Who's gonna pay for it if you can't pay for it? And if you can't pay for it, what's gonna happen because I can't pay for it? So those are definitely everyday stresses that we deal with. Life transitions, going from maybe high school to college, going from middle school to high school, transitioning from college to the workforce. Everyday things that everyone in the world goes through. Timing, again, that organization, you have deadlines, meetings that you have to get to. Things that are somewhat out of our control. People don't really like that, especially nowadays. People think that they need to be in control of their life about everything. In the moment something's out of their control and they can't really, grasp it, it becomes a stressful event, which is, again, rightfully so. So then we're going to go ahead and jump into how all stress is not bad stress, tying back into, again, when your body goes into that fight and flight response. It's good in some situations, like if you were being robbed and someone's like got a gun on you, and then you real quick and fast Jet Leo and take the gun, and your body was just like, but you normally would not think that you could, disarm somebody or, something that's a little, exaggerated, but getting to an example, that's kind of how that fight or flight response works. So this slide goes into distress, and so those are moments where you're in distress and your body's, actively trying to figure out how to get you out of that situation. Now there is things such as good stress, eustress, that we use if you can be beneficial if you use it in the right way. So about those exams and about those time limits. Say that you have an event or you have something coming up in, let's say, a month. Instead of waiting to do it, although you may think that you work better under stress, which again may not be, not true, but there's better ways to handle that because you don't want to constantly put your body in that type of high state. Eustress is going to give you that type of, fire under your butt, but still not like, okay, somebody's coming to get me. So again, with the meetings and things like that, say that you have a meeting scheduled out for a month. You don't have to work on it a month in advance, but give yourself small goals a week instead of okay, I'm just going to do it all this week or all, the day before. Why don't you break it down to where you set yourself a goal? At the end of this week, I'm going to have X amount done for that project. It's still a deadline. It's still, you're setting that, getting more organized, setting yourself, this is the plan I'm going to follow. And that type of stress is, okay, well, I know I have this deadline by Friday. So you're still giving yourself a deadline, still giving yourself that, got to get to it, and then you just turn the distress of waiting to do it the day before instead of doing it the day before to now I have 4 different deadlines for this one big project. Although projects and deadlines are still never fun, you can make it where it's benefiting you in the long run in your project, because a lot of times when people do stuff under crunch time, last minute, you're not, you did it fast in a hurry, so you're probably not, taking your time, looking at details, make sure everything's perfect, or as perfect as it could be or could have been if you prepared a little bit ahead of time. This is some examples of stress. And what makes you vulnerable to stress? What do you think makes you more susceptible? When are you more stressed?
Just daily life, just trying to make sure your kids are cool, make sure everything's flowing okay. Just family stress is my biggest stress.
What about you, Dominique? What makes you vulnerable to stress? What causes you to be okay, I'm really freaking out right now?
I don't really know. A lot.
Right.
Honestly. Everyday life, how make it through the next day. Just trying to make sure things are in order.
Okay.
Now I find more stress in trying to figure out, make sure that they straight, I'm straight, so we don't have to worry about it.
Right.
And when you gotta worry about it, that just
right. So providing for your family is one thing that makes you stress. So if it's good, it's good, but if it's not, that's making you freak out. What about you? What makes you stressed or more vulnerable to stress? Unexpected.
Put so much thought into, wanting this to go right and planning this out and not having any kind of
Exactly. So kind of having that controllability
Yeah.
over things. Okay. What about you, Tyler? What makes you more vulnerable to stress? What stresses you out or causes you to be stressed?
Probably when I know something difficult is about to happen. I can see it oh my God, this is about to happen. And I'm planning for it, but
So you get anxious. Anxiety brings you a lot of stress. Okay. So those are all good good examples. Here's another list of what some stressful events that we encounter every day. So we got work here, classes, studying, relationships with partner, relationships with family, traumas, change of residence, physical health. That's my biggest thing. I'm the health nut. So anytime anything's wrong with me or my family or my friends, I get super stressed out because I'm okay, how could I have prevented that? What can I do to make it better? And then kind of that, well, I can't really control it, so that stresses me out, and I'm that, I'm a control freak and I need that control over situation. So health, I'm dang, I knew I could have fixed this, or something happened where it caused me to be sick and I wasn't paying close attention, and so that causes me stress personally. Major career decisions, spiritual and religious issues, law violations, mental health, buying a house, changing amount of recreation, kind of that free time we have. If when you start having families and kids, your free time goes from this to okay, I can get out for an hour and a half on Saturday and yay, my kid taking a nap and this is my free time. So stuff like that where you don't really get to, sometimes we can't even express the stress in a healthy way, and that's what causes us to be stressed out, because we can't express the original stress that we had in the first situation in the right way, because we got something else coming in that's just causing us to like bottle that in. So there's just examples. Again, why do we stress out? More of a perception type of thing, because what stresses me out won't necessarily stress Petra out, or won't necessarily stress Casey out. It's all perception of what we think are threats and demands. So never try to compare, your stress. I found myself doing that a lot growing up. Well, you can't be stressed out because, girl, you going through this and I'm going through that. And you're like, retrospect, looking back on it, you're like, well, you don't know how that was affecting them, or, something that they're stressing out about. I'm like, girl, what you stressing for? You do, don't ever make yourself feel like you're better or they're better. Everyone has their own level of stress, and everyone handles those demands and those threats differently. There's some people that you may never see stress, and they're better at handling that situation, but maybe there's something that they do stress about, and you're just like, seriously? Why are you stressing out about that? But again, you don't know what that does to that person, because it's a perception of what they feel. So what are some warning signs that you're getting stressed, or it's building up? You just blow up. You're like, dang.
I just, like I was saying earlier, I try to live life day by day. Because for me, thinking ahead, that makes my mind move a lot. So
Right.
I stress myself overthinking, and like I try to handle everything as it comes. I can't stress. I find more stress worrying about the stuff that I can't control. So that's just me. I try to every day, because I can die tonight. I'm just saying, hypothetically speaking, it can happen. And tomorrow's out of my control.
Right.
The next couple hours is out of my control. I don't know what's going to, So I just try to look in that aspect, and just try to move like that.
Right. So you're more of like, if it happens, it happens. You're just taking it, taking it as it comes.
I think that, being in a relationship has pros and its cons. You can't do that. Certain things. You have children. You have to start thinking
Ahead of kind of circling ahead, what could happen. And it's a stressful event. Again, with a family, you gotta start thinking ahead when you have families, and that causes stress. Like, how I'm gonna make sure they get into school, or they gonna be fed the rest of the week. How I'm gonna make sure they got clothes for the next month or so, and kids grow every other day. Those are stresses that, again, those are real life stressful events that you can't really control. It's not like y'all got kids, so it's not gonna stop for at least the next 18 years. So that you recognizing that stuff out of your control you shouldn't really worry about. That's a really good starting point for you to handle your stress in a healthy, positive way. Because again, we can't control everything. And the moment that you try to control everything, God, your spirits, whatever you want to call it, they find a way of making sure that you don't get comfortable. And because that means you're just comfortable. You're expecting stuff to happen. It's like, no, that's not how life works. It's gonna come and go, different phases. Every day is gonna be different. Even the same type of situation is gonna be different in some type of way. It's not gonna be the same stress. So the thing is not focusing on what is gonna stress you out, but how you're gonna handle that stress when it comes. Because stress is gonna come regardless. So that's everybody get that through their mind. Even the holiest, more most just self and inner worked people like Gandhi or like these monks, they don't not deal with stress. Their positive thing is that they just handle the stress that they are dealt with in a very positive manner, and they recognize what the warning signs are when they're becoming stressed. Such as with me, when I get stressed, I get very introverted. I get very I want to be in my own this little hermit shell. I get real. Let me pull back, because I don't know if this next stressful event is going to make me spaz out. And so that's how I know that I'm getting to that point. I'm like, okay, I need to take a deep breath. I need to do some talking. I need to do some walking, something to kind of get this, this weight off my back. Because that, again, that's my warning sign that I'm getting stressed and it's becoming too much for me. What would you say your warning sign is for when you're getting stressed, when it's becoming?
Who, me?
Yep.
When I challenge myself to be a better person, for trying to be trying to say trying to.
So where we at? We at Walmart.
Right.
Buying the stuff from there,
Right.
buying the meat and all that stuff, eating that stuff, eating out, doing stuff like that, because it's affordable.
Right. So a lot of times we find ourselves not being able to like do those type of fitness activities that we may need because one, affordability, access. So it's close to a hometown market all the time. You gotta, it's a Walmart on every corner almost. It's a Family Dollar, something like that. But how many small market shops do we have? Then we have one city market at least in Indianapolis. Carmel and stuff, I'm not even going out there because that's too much. But here in Indy, I think we have one farmers market, which is down here downtown, right going off of Market Street. Yep. If y'all have not checked that out, check it out. It's awesome. It's really pretty in the summertime. They have all the flowers and stuff out. But it's a very good market. They have vegan options in there as well. But so we find ourselves with fitness again and the healthy aspect of our lives, us not being able to, especially like I said, predominantly African Americans, minorities, not having the access or the resources to get what we need essentially. So that's what I want to tie into with the fitness is that, do you find yourself thinking of fitness, taking care of your body as more of a chore, or as more of a, I have to do it, I need to do this because it's gonna better myself, my longevity, my family. People not only look at fitness as being just for them, but you're doing this for your children. You want to be around for when they grow up, and they children you want to be around for when they grow up. So do you see it more as a chore or more as a I want to do this, a routine?
I feel like it's more something that I need to do. It's like, I don't know, like bad health runs in my family, so it's kind of like.
Well, I'm glad you said that because I'm gonna touch on that. I'm glad you said that.
It's just kind of like one of the things where when you start seeing the older family members not making past 50-something, 60-something years old because of their health, and you start to think like, there was a point in time where that's still considered young. People were still out here, their age, able to do stuff, play basketball, run around with their grandkids, work, stuff like that. I mean, 65, people want to retire, but people still doing stuff. I just want to see 65. You know what I'm saying? It's just one of the things where you gotta want it. I mean, it's not necessarily a chore or anything like that, but it's when you first get started, it feels like one of the things where
Forcing yourself to have to do it.
Forcing yourself to do it. But then, once you get that habit,
Exactly.
it's second nature.
Exactly. It becomes routine.
Yeah.
How about y'all? Do y'all feel like it's more of a chore or more of a routine for you?
I feel like it's definitely more mature because I hate working out. So it's just kind of like every time I go, it's just like, I gotta work out. Like I have to be huffing and puffing, sweating, and not really seeing any results until months down the line. So I have to stick with it until I see results. And I went to this workout class on Thursday, and it was nothing like it was about like 6 or 7 of us. 2 of us was young and black, and then everybody else was like old and white. When I tell you those old people,
They was getting it. They was looking. It's a routine for them. They get into the routine. You think it wasn't hard for me? It's like getting it. Exactly. It's one of those things you have to, you have to get your body accustomed to it if you're not used to working out. For me, it was not as hard because I've been working out basically my entire life. So it was for me, it's now like second nature. Like I'll work out before I brush my teeth. Y'all brush my teeth every day, but I'm saying that I'll work out before I brush my teeth. Like that's just like I have to do that. And how you said that, bad health runs in your family. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, bad health does not run in the family. Bad habits run in families, not bad health. We are all susceptible to changing, and that's no offense to your family because, we all have, everything that comes to our lives, whether it be, cancer, health, diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. But if you look back into it, it's because of the external things that we're doing, the ways we eat, how we're taking care of ourselves. I think it's becoming more pertinent now because I think now, especially American westernized societies, I think we're so lazy when it comes to our health. We have drugs for everything now. You want to lose weight? Oh, pop these pills for 13 weeks and you're going to drop 50 pounds. Versus teaching somebody if you actually just worked out for 30 minutes a day, 4 days a week, you do the same type of progress and you'd be able to stick with it. Because who's to say that these pills are going to be effective in the next 2 to 3 years? You want it for a good year. Okay, you lost all the weight that you wanted to, but now the pills, maybe something's wrong with the pill. They recall them. Now you don't have the pill no more. Now what you going to do?
you're gonna revert back to what you were doing before the pill because you were so accustomed to that pill doing what you need to be doing versus you actually just putting in the time and the effort to do it. So that's going into, I think that we should start turning working out, especially in the African American community, minority community, into a routine. And how Heather mentioned, and that's kind of like my whole goal with where I'm going with these seminars and kind of getting the access out there and the knowledge out there about different facilities that we, people like us, our black people, young black people, can go to, because you're only going to go somewhere when you feel relatable to somebody. If you constantly going to LA Fitness and all you see is 50 white women every day, you're going to be like, why am I here? Why am I here? My people not here, so maybe my people not doing it. We don't need to do it. And that's a lot of the reason why people don't, especially black individuals, don't do that certain stuff, because there's not a lot of other black individuals doing it. But just know, Heather, that you and your friend that went out there, there may have been a black girl walking by that saw y'all and be like, oh, look, I see 2 black girls. I'm definitely going to do that now because I was very hesitant, because I know people, I know that we did that. So never think that your presence goes unnoticed. You are definitely beneficial in any type of environment that you're in. So I would recommend still going to those classes, getting down with the old 65-year-old people in there. Again, because it's going to want to build a routine for you to continue with that. And again, you're not going to see, you know, the weight drop in a day or a week. It does take time for that to happen. But once you stay consistent with it, it'll become, again, second nature. Your body will become more habituated to you're consistently working out. So now your body's already handling, it's doing everything internally. Because that's a lot of what happens to the weight loss that's internal. Like you have to let your body get accustomed to, you know, these new habits that you're doing. Because your body, you're trying to fight off like, oh, we're not used to doing this. We're not used to doing this. And but after so long of doing that, okay, oh, this is what we do. Oh, this is what we do. Okay?
That process is hard.
Yeah, and 21 days to break a habit. 21 days. So just put it in your mind, if you go to the gym for 21 days, after the 21st day, you're going to be like, hey, I'm going to the gym. You're going to be second nature. You're going to be in the car one day. You're going to be trying to, I'm going home. You're going to live at the gym. You're going to be like, hey, how are you here? Well, how are you? Exactly. So 21 days to break a habit. So just stay consistent with it. You know, it, again, may seem like a chore at first, but the more you do it, it'll become second nature to you. So definitely I recommend sticking to it. Another thing with fitness, especially with younger individuals, the millennials, quote unquote. Again, I feel like we've been in this now society to like build your body, have these fake bodies, not being realistic with what fitness actually is, what it should consist of. You see everyone now working out, got waist trainers and all this type of crazy stuff. Although, you know, ain't no change to waist trainers. I think, you know, everybody wants to snatch weight, but I don't think that you should use that in place of actually doing a great workout that's going to actually be beneficial to your body. Exactly. Instead of going to the gym that you know you need to do, you would rather kind of have a shortcut and I'm gonna just wear a waist trainer all day. And in reality, it's a trash can back there behind that tree. What was I getting at? Lost my train of thought. Waist trainer. Okay, wear them all day, and I don't think, oh, okay, that's what I'm saying. Boom. How it affects your organs. If you look at the waist trainers and you look at, like, I'm gonna look them up for you, but if you look at what that does to your body, it's putting your body in an unnatural state for you to try to achieve a natural looking body. You're putting your body in an unnatural type of situation. You're forcing, and that's again with that control. You know, if you just worked out, now you're gonna have control of how you lose the weight, where it's gonna come from first. But just know that the weight is coming off if you know, stay consistent with it, versus you trying to take a shortcut and use a waist trainer to get this desired body that you know you want, again, a natural looking body using unnatural type of resources. So just put that two and two together. It doesn't make sense. So that's waist trainers. So here are some images of those waist trainers and what they do to their body. that we obviously know just from common sense that you're compressing a lot of those organs that need to actually be spaced out. When you wear a waist trainer, this is what happens to your body. Goes from the intestines being in a very nice spaced out portion of your stomach, your gut, how they're normally supposed to be. You have your kidneys over here, you have your liver, and when you wear a waist trainer, you're compressing these. That's why when people wear waist trainers, it's hard to breathe. You're compressing all of your ribs, having all that pressure on your diaphragm. You're forcing organs down. Your intestines are now at the bottom of your like pelvic bone versus in your actual gut where they need to be. So again, you're forcing your body to you're trying to get a natural looking, I guess, Coke body shape using unnatural methods. Never ends up working in the long run. A lot of people have had problems again with working out. I don't think it's safe at all. Now, if you wear like a waist belt when you work out, that's okay. Like the sweat belts, those are cool because they don't get as tight and they're not so constrictive like waist trainers. But I don't recommend wearing waist trainers at all or to work out because it's not healthy. There has been instances that I heard on the news where like ladies were working out and then like have like, I guess like many episodes of like almost like not heart attack, but when you can't catch your breath, like basically like not an asthma attack, but kind of like an asthma attack. Like they just can't catch their not a panic attack. It's almost like an asthma attack. Like they can't catch their breath because your organs are so constricted, so you're not even allowing your lungs to breathe fully expand. And there have been issues with that. Also, I think some people have said like the ribs being dislocated. I've never actually heard anything like that. But I did see the ones where people were like working out, doing hard cardio, wearing these waist trainers, and then having some issues with breathing. I don't even think that they just shouldn't be worn, I feel like, at all. So that was that one. So back into, now we're gonna get into the yoga and some of those techniques that they have. So again, we mentioned some of those being like the stretching, deep breathing, but again, how I mentioned, yoga was originally started originally started for mindfulness, meaning paying attention in a particular way on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally, finding what makes you tick and why it makes you tick. So with the yoga and the deep breathing, these practices regularly cultivate 3 core skills. Those 3 core skills are concentration, sensory clarity, and equanimity. So the concentration, the ability to focus and stabilize one's attention. So if you find that you find yourself stressed out more because you just can't think about everything's going through your mind at the same time, you can't really focus on one thing. Yoga would definitely be a good practice to start doing, whether it be the active yoga or the sort of deep breathing yoga, because it builds that concentration for you to be able to focus. I would recommend if you do yoga to do it in a quiet space, either with not really music, but more of like maybe positive affirmations going in the background, because you don't want anything distracting you from the thought that. So you can use like white noise or like the kind of like the nature sounds if you want to, but you want to be able to. You don't want to be playing no like Jeezy in the background, rapping like, okay. You need to be able to focus and concentrate on your internal thoughts and then your internal feelings. That sensory clarity, the ability to keep track of the components of sensory experience. So sort of like what you're hearing, you're feeling, those senses, those 5 senses, what you're smelling, what you're seeing. Equanimity, the ability to be with the experience, so to be in the now. How I think that you kind of explained, which was good, Dominique, that you kind of take everything day to day versus kind of trying to foreshadow what's going to happen, because that causes people stress. So that's good that you actually do that. You kind of handle things in the day-to-day process, day-to-day experiences. So the ability to be with your experience, to be able to focus on what's going on now. Don't focus about what could happen, what should happen, what should have happened. Focus on the now, because a lot of times that people get stressed out as well is focusing on the past, about something that it's already passed, it already happened. You cannot change it, it's already done, it's written in stone, that's just what it is. you need to be able to kind of focus and gather your thoughts with being right now, what's present, how you're feeling at this point in time, what's actually affecting you now. And the yoga is going to help you grasp, focusing on what you really need and what you want out of life or experiences in life. Some different mindfulness training techniques, again, would be that deep breathing, meditation, and those type of techniques develop and strengthen the core skills of concentration, clarity, and equanimity. So I think Heather had mentioned kind of when we get stressed out, we have that clutter versus the clear mind, and you have so much going through your head. Yoga's gonna, again, give you that ability to kind of clear your thoughts of all that negativity or stress that's going on in your life, and allow you to be one with yourself, one with your mind, and gather your thoughts effectively to think of better solutions or another solution for certain situations in your everyday life. Whether it's in school, again, work, family situations. If you take that time to breathe and think it out, you'll be, I can guarantee that you'll have a better effect at getting the solution for that problem. Where does the yoga practices come from? It comes from the 19th century mindfulness. Sati, again, it forms, it's a language of Theravada, a form of the Buddhism from Southeast Asia, which allows the clearer thinking, understanding, deep feeling, and allowing vulnerability. It is said to lead to insight into the true nature of self and reality, and how it got over to America and the westernized method that we use yoga in now, or see now, came over in the 60s and 70s. The hippie era, everybody knows that era, everybody was, on the Woodstock, everybody cool, doing their thing. So that's when yoga came into America, again, because more culturally geared towards Southeast Asia, and individuals over there. They brought it over here, obviously, because of the good benefits they heard of yoga over in Asia. And again, just brought it here. Mindful awareness practices started to be used within the secular context to develop useful attention skills. So originally started, again, yoga started to help people clear their mind. It was not, and I went to Southeast Asia, they do yoga as a deep breathing technique. It's not, you're not seeing the monks out there doing stretches. They're sitting in the same spot for hours on end, literally chanting word like alms, there's different chants that you can say. Is like the most popular one. They use it for attention skills. Again, because when you are really deep in thought and can actually grasp hold of, because our brains are a network, it's like a computer. We have so many connections to so many different things and that's why it's not unheard of that people are going through like a million different ideas in 1 hour, 1 minute. Our brain has millions of connections, so it's definitely easy for us to have so much going on at once. But that yoga helps with you kind of slowing that down and, kind of like in the Matrix, like just kind of like, okay, let me grab this out of that 1 million thing that just flew past my mind. You can actually focus and deeply focus on a situation and again, have a better outcome for the situation, whether it be trying to get out of that situation or find a different route to that the situation. Mindfulness in healthcare. You normally see yoga, deep breathing techniques used in like psychotherapy, behavioral therapy. My goal is to not only have that involved in like the healthcare aspect, but also, or the westernized healthcare aspect, but the holistic aspect as well. I don't think that you should have to go to a therapist to do yoga and deep breathing. I think that you should be able to, if you want to, sit in your living room and have the proper techniques to do that and get the same exact result. I don't think that I should pay a yoga teacher, $50 an hour to help me with deep breathing. If you want to, that's perfectly fine. I don't think that should be the thing. So I definitely appreciate therapists though, and behavioral therapists. They're awesome in their jobs, but I think that again, the problem is we don't see a lot of Black people, minorities doing it because we don't have the access to get to yoga teachers or get to therapists that do these different type of techniques. I think that what we need to focus on is incorporating these different health and lifestyle skills into people's everyday lives. That way, they're able to handle situations in their lives better. So, how it changes the brain in positive ways. Again, it allows you to kind of slow down and focus on those different neural connections that we do have. Basically building your thought process, allowing more concise thought, having a more meaningful thought process versus, again, just being reactive and just jumping on the first thought that comes to your mind, when if you would have waited 5 minutes later, you could have had a better idea and it would have worked a lot better for you. So it's changes the brain in positive ways. It shows the brain how to, and that's with meditation again, with those different chants and breathing techniques. It is said to increase the neuroplasticity. Again, that's with the connections I said. With that deep breathing, you're able to kind of focus more on those connections that you have and build better connections for certain situations. So research shows in neuroscience that we have the power to influence our brains. We are what we think. People don't realize that how powerful thought is, because thought becomes habit, becomes action. So change the way you think and the way you handle stuff will change the way you act to stuff, which will change the results you get in certain things. So that's why you want to focus on the yoga as well, deep breathing, not just for, again, the physical part, but also the mental and behavioral aspect as well. It helps with the nervous system. People that suffer from panic attacks and have that overactive nervous system, yoga would definitely help in that aspect, again, allowing those calming breathing techniques. Thank you guys for coming in. Get the bookmarks. No problem, no problem. Candles. No, I'm gonna be making some more.